Hello everyone, welcome to Team Hack Life. In this video, I will talk about how to survive volcanic eruption, or I should say how to prepare yourself to stay safe during, before, after a volcanic eruption. So there are many things you can do to prepare yourself and your family for a volcanic eruption. Usually, we would have a fair bit of warning before the actual eruption, but being ready to bug out at a moment's notice can be critical in ensuring your safety. So do you know what to do to get ready before a volcano erupts? Well, the best way to prepare for a volcanic eruption is to put together an emergency supply kit to bring with you in the event of an evacuation. Following the advice from local officials is critical to ensure your safety. When preparing for a volcanic eruption, you need to not only be prepared to evacuate, but you also need to be ready to stay put, either in your home or in a shelter. You should also have an evacuation plan fully developed in case the worst does happen. Everyone should have an evacuation plan, not only for volcanoes, but for whatever natural disasters that is more prevalent in your part of the world. The best way to figure out an evacuation plan is to know what route to take during an evacuation. You should avoid major highways because they will most likely be blocked full of traffic. Draw a map that would consist of rural back roads that would have you avoid those types of traffic pileups. Make sure that everyone in your family reviews and understands the escape plan. An important thing to have ready alongside your escape plan is an emergency supply kit that is more geared to the dangers of a volcanic eruption. The supplies you will need in a volcano emergency kit will differ from an emergency kit catered to hurricanes or floods. The reason being is you not only need to have supplies for power outages, food, and water, but you will also need supplies to protect you against the volcanic ash fallout. Here's a list of things that will prove very useful if you're in a situation where you have to evacuate from a volcanic eruption. Please let me know in the comment section if there is anything I should add to this emergency kit that could prove useful in this type of disaster. You can also find a link to all these recommended products in the description of this video. So number one would be an N-95 respirator mask. Having a way to defend yourself against the volcanic ash fallout is essential. Breathing in the toxic ash can lead to significant health concerns and even death. The most efficient respiratory protection for adults is to wear a well-fitting industry-certified face mask, such as an N-95 mask, also called P2, FFP2, or DS2 in various parts of the globe. The certification will be marked on the mask. These types of masks are typically disposable, but you can also buy a better quality, non-disposable N95 mask to protect yourself against the volcanic ash. These types of masks are highly effective during an eruption, but they are commonly designed to fit an adult face. You should buy a smaller N95 mask for your children to make sure to have adequate air filtration available for them. Be aware that using these highly effective masks can make breathing more difficult, especially if you're already suffering from a cardiovascular disease. Talk to a healthcare provider about whether a mask like this is safe for you to use. You should know that some non-certified respiratory face masks state that they are designed to filter PM 2.5, which are small particles less than 2.5 micrometers in diameter, which is most likely to be the most harmful fraction of the volcanic ash. The thing with these non-certified masks is that they are oftentimes not designed to fit tightly on your face correctly, so in the end they may not be very useful in protecting you against PM 2.5. If you're unable to provide yourself with an adequate mask, you can still protect yourself by using a nuisance dust mask, but only as a last resort. Emergency workers or cleanup crews might need a different type of mask altogether to better protect themselves against long-term volcanic ash exposure. So the next item you should have in your kit would be eye protection. Make sure you have a pair of protective goggles in your emergency kit. You don't need to spend a lot of money on a pair of goggles that will protect your eyes from the ash. Snowboarding or motorcycle goggles can work very well for eye protection. Make sure they protect you against dust particles and that they fit tightly to your face so no ash leaks inside. You should buy goggles that are big enough to be able to wear your regular prescription glasses inside them. Make sure to take off your contact lenses. The volcanic ash will latch on to the lenses and could damage your eye. The next thing you should have would be a crank flashlight or regular flashlight with extra batteries. I personally always tend to go with a crank flashlight for all of my emergency kits. You can forget about the crank flashlights of the past, because those types you would need to crank for a minute to only get a second worth of light. With the advent of LED bulbs, you can have a very bright light for quite a long time with just a minute of cranking. The hand crank flashlight I always recommend is a combination of a flashlight and radio. One of the best features is that it also acts as a portable battery capable of charging your cell phone by USB. Being able to charge a dead phone in a dangerous situation can mean the difference between life and death. Next thing on the list would be a first aid kit, but most importantly, the first aid manual. Having a first aid kit is a great start, but having the first aid manual alongside the kit will make a complicated first aid situation much more manageable. Most people, myself included, never used to think of having a first aid manual, but after receiving many first aid training courses, I've begun to appreciate the value of a first aid manual. A typical first aid manual discusses what to do for the standard, mild, serious, and life-threatening situation you may face, in a step-by-step manner using illustrations and photographs to help you understand the problems at hand. Although it is designed to provide you with a good knowledge base, it is strongly encouraged that you also take a formal first aid course from an organization in a nearby community that offers such training. These organizations include the American Red Cross, the American Heart Association, EMS Emergencies, and local hospitals. It is also important that you refresh your skills on a regular basis. I also have a link in the description below of a PDF file that you can download and print a free first aid manual from the American College of Emergency Physicians, so take advantage of it. The next thing you should have is medicine. Packing the right medication is essential, especially if you're going to be on the road for an extended period. Firstly, the most important medication to have in your bug-out bag are your prescriptions. You should stow away at least 1 week's worth of prescription medication in your emergency kit. This will ensure you have enough in case you can't make it to a pharmacy in time for a refill. Aside from your prescriptions, you should have some over-the-counter medication to bring with you in case you need to evacuate the area. You should also have these medication on hand if you need to stay put in your home or a nearby shelter. I'll include a link below of a full list of over-the-counter medication I recommend to have in an emergency supply kit. So last but not least would be food and water. Now this one is obvious. Every emergency kit should have some food and water in them, but how much should you bring with you if you need to evacuate? This would certainly depend on whether you're on foot or traveling by vehicle. Everyone should have enough food and water to last them at least 72 hours. I've included a few links below in the description of how to properly store water in your home for long-term use, and also a link to an article about how to prepare a DIY long-term emergency food storage. So check those out. But one last recommendation regarding food is to not forget to pack a non-electric can opener. A can opener is one of those items that can easily be overlooked by even the best of preppers. So now that we have the emergency kit out of the way, let's talk about if you need to evacuate. So if you're told to evacuate your home due to a volcanic eruption, you should follow the authorities' instructions. Though you might feel safe in your home and wait out a volcano, doing so could prove very dangerous to you and your family. Volcanoes blow hot, hazardous gases, ash, lava, and rock that are powerful and devastating to anything around the eruption. So when preparing to evacuate, turn on the radio or television for volcano updates from the local authorities. Have a crank radio ready and tune in to the NOAA frequency to be up to date with any new developments in your area. Keep an ear out for any warning signals such as emergency or disaster sirens. Prepare your volcano emergency kit and also have things ready in your vehicle in case you need to evacuate right away. You should have things like food, water, flares, booster cables, maps, GPS, tools, first aid kit, fire extinguisher, sleeping bag, and a flashlight. Have your vehicle's gas tank filled up before the volcano begins to erupt, because the gas stations will most likely be very busy at this time due to a panicked public and people not being prepared beforehand. If there are no vehicles available, make arrangements with families or friends for transportation out of the danger zone. If this is also not possible, follow the instructions from authorities on how and where to obtain safe transportation away from the volcanic eruptions. Place your vehicle under cover if at all possible. Exploding debris could cause damage to your vehicle, making it inoperable during the worst of times. Place livestock in an enclosed area free from ash fallout if possible. Make a plan for your pets in case you have to go to an emergency shelter. Many shelters will not accept animals. Fill sinks and bathtubs with water as an additional supply for bathing. Make adjustments to the freezer and refrigerator thermostat. Set them to the lowest temperature possible. If there is a power failure, food will stay cooler for a longer period of time. When you're evacuating, avoid downwind areas and rivers that are flowing downstream of the volcano. Wind and gravity will carry the flying volcanic rock and ash down these paths. So now let's talk about if you were ordered to stay put during the eruption. What you should do is to keep listening to your radio or television continuously until you are advised that your area is safe or you are told to vacate your home. The local officials may evacuate specific regions that are at the highest risk in your area. Tightly close and lock all windows and doors leading outside of your home so the volcanic ash does not enter. Shut off all central heating and air conditioning system that would be drawing in air from outside. Close the fireplace damper and completely close the fireplace if at all possible. Make your way to an interior room in your home without windows and preferably above ground level. Take your pets with you and do not forget to have extra food and water for them. It is a good idea to have a hardwired, non-portable telephone in the room you select as your safe room. Call a trusted friend or family member that lives far away from the volcano. Have them ready to receive a phone call from you to report any potential life-threatening emergency. One important fact to consider is that telecommunication equipment may be overwhelmed or damaged during this type of event. So of course, staying calm in these types of devastating emergencies can be difficult, but this is not the time to panic if you want yourself and your family to stay safe. I've never had the misfortune yet of having to live through a volcanic eruption, but I've learned a great deal about how to survive all types of disasters just like this one by being prepared. All this information was gathered through various government websites such as the CDC and ready.gov, among other trusted websites. Thank you very much for watching. Do not hesitate to subscribe to this channel because I will be adding new content weekly. Thank you very much and stay safe.